X marks the spot on many a treasure map. 16 men on a dead man's chest, yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. But perhaps, without that map, the treasure may not be found. But you were so close. 1A St Martin's Hill was the flat in the house where we lived. The house was about 400 years old, but much older really. We could see the Roman foundations when we went down to the cellar with Dad. Sometimes he would switch off the light and we would crouch there in candlelight, the flames flickering on the flinty stone walls. There were treasures in the cellar, old bottles made of thick glass, masses of white clay pipes, the odd coin or two, and sometimes a tiny piece of jewellery. Dad would find some of the same in our flat too, when he had all the floorboards up, but not that much in any way. It all ended up down at the pawn shop or changed hands one way or another. The house was a pub many years ago, a tavern of ill repute, being far outside the city walls, and known as the Ship Inn. No one seemed to know much of its history, except for the sinister legend about a highwayman who shot the landlady. She died over the threshold as he, pursued, crashed through a window on the first floor and fled. That window was in our living room. My uncle, Paddy Joe, would never sleep in there, no matter how drunk. He would rather sleep under a blanket on the floor in the hall because of the nightmares. In the living room, he had repeatedly woken up in terror, believing that someone had been trying to kill him. Mum never twigged that our babysitter, Julia, was only pretending to have a sore throat. She would turn up all croaky-voiced and say, "Oh, Viv, have you got any Benylin?" Julia always downed a whole bottle, having been up all night on something and needing to calm down, but she was great to us. She remained a friend of the family, and years later she told me that I used to scare her to death with my stories about the old lady. "You used to say, 'The old lady's been again.' She says, 'Not to worry, not to worry, because everything is going to be all right.'" I can still remember the old lady, standing quietly by my bed. "Hello," she would say. "Hello, James." And she smiled. Once Julia said she had seen someone out of the corner of her eye walking into the passage which led to the bathroom. She thought it was my mum, but she'd gone out ages ago, hadn't she? Julia called out, "Viv?" and walked down the passage and into the bathroom. But there was no one there. I was visited so often by the old lady that Mum got really worried. Some nights she would sit outside my bedroom door and fall asleep waiting. Did someone have a key to the front door? Who is this old lady? But she never saw anything. We came to accept that we were sharing our home with a ghost, and when door handles rattled in the night, or we could hear someone moving around in the next room, knowing that there was no one there, we just shrugged our shoulders and said, "It must be the old lady." And then one night she visited me again. This time she had something to tell me. I knew that it was terribly important and I must not forget. When I woke up in the morning, I was fevered with urgency. I had to tell Mum, but I couldn't remember any of it at all except for one thing, and it was desperate. It was vital to tell Mum that it's upstairs. "Mum, I've got to tell you. The old lady says I must tell you. It's upstairs." "What's upstairs, darling?" "I can't remember. I tried to remember, but I can't. But it's very important. It's upstairs. The old lady told me that it's upstairs." But we were upstairs. We lived in the first floor flat and there was nothing above us except a large roof space. Whatever the old lady meant by upstairs remained a mystery to us. I started talking about the old lady when I was 4 years old and stopped seeing her around the age of 6. Dad soon had to go back to Ireland, and then Mum married my stepfather. We moved out of 1A St Martin's Hill to a house on the other side of town. I really missed living there. I still do. I often walked past and wondered what was going on. Inside, a couple had bought the whole house, and it was their plan to restore it to some original Jacobean splendour. They even swapped the sash windows for mullioned panes and replaced the central staircase. During the work, they became curiouser and curiouser about the rather large loft, with no access to it. Dad says that he always wanted to have a look, but Mum stopped him, and she says he stopped her because he was worried the ceiling might fall down. But the new people had no such concerns. Determined to investigate, they made a hole in the flaking plastery ceiling and climbed up a ladder with a torch. Filthy with dust and cobwebs, the dark attic grudgingly revealed itself under electric beams of light. Shadowy shapes became recognisable. An old bed frame, an ornate chair, a large wooden chest, items in such decay that the merest shove would cause them to collapse, to disintegrate. For hundreds of years the house had kept its secret. 2 hidden rooms, sealed off, Havisham-like, and filled with treasures. Furniture, books and clothing now not even fit for scarecrows, and bags of coins, trinkets, jewellery, antique and exquisite. Truly what you would expect of a highwayman's hoard had he not returned to collect it, which he never did. Perhaps he was caught and hung. Nobody else knew the secret, except maybe the landlady, and he had shot her dead. There was no way she would be able to tell of the hidden rooms and what they contained. No one to whom she could say, "It's upstairs."